everyone, Kyle Erickson here with the latest release of the iPhone 14 and the iPhone 14 Pro. And just watching a lot of the conversation online, I see a lot of people talking about which iPhone model they're going to buy. The regular iPhone 14 has a lot of the same internals as last year and actually resembles the iPhone 13 Pro in a lot of ways. This has led to a debate on whether it makes sense to just get the regular 13 or the 13 Pro instead of the 14. And there's another conversation to be had in regards to cheaper devices, like maybe buying an iPhone 11 or a 12 instead of the newer budget SE model that's available. Given that everyone has their own take on this, what I want to do here is first identify some of the things that you might be looking for out of a phone and go over all the details for why you might choose a specific model without getting caught up in all the marketing details.
The most advanced iPhone we've ever created.
iPhone ever.
Advanced iPhone we've ever made.
And more of a realistic view based on how you use your phone. Chances are, if you're out shopping for one of these, you're going to get offered the latest and greatest with the most expensive options. And those may be good for some folks and not so good for others. So let's just dive in here and see if we can demystify some of these things. To start off, if you are that person that does want the best model out there,
Powerful and most advanced.
maybe you're an early adopter, you like new tech, or you just want the best of the best, this is a pretty easy choice. The iPhone 14 Pro is definitely the best phone available, and it's going to have the highest specs out of any Apple phone. It's got a bunch of cool things in here that aren't in other Apple phones, like the dynamic island, always on display, and the new camera system. So if you're really into all the bells and whistles, this is where you want to be. The only real choice I think you have if you're this type of buyer is what size of phone that you'd like. You can go with the Pro Max with the larger 6.7-inch screen or the Pro at 6.1 inches. Some of the things to consider when choosing the right screen size, a big one for me personally is comfortability. I find that the 6.1 inch is just the right size to keep in my pocket without it being too big. Also with these Pro models, the materials used make them a bit heavier than your regular iPhone, so anything bigger than the 6.1 inch in the Pros, just with the way that I hold my phone personally, I find to be a bit uncomfortable resting at the bottom of my hand. That may not be the same for you if you use a pop socket or something, or maybe you've got bigger hands and it's actually more comfortable for you to have something larger. But outside of that, the 6.7 inch display can be great if you increase the size of the text on your screen or you watch a lot of content on your phone. And because a bigger display makes the actual phone a bit bigger, the battery life is also better there as well. You can probably expect about a 20% gain in overall battery life with that 6.7 inch screen, but you're also going to see an increase in cost there as well of about $100. Now, the Pro starts at $999, so it's by no means a small purchase. And I'd say that practically a lot of people don't need this phone. But there are some legitimate reasons as to why you might be disappointed if you were to choose a lesser model than it. The primary one is going to be the camera system. If you're a photographer or you're doing a lot of mobile photography, the iPhone 14 Pro has a 3-camera array on the back, with each lens being a little bit better than on models below it. You'll get a telephoto lens that you won't find on the regular iPhone. That gives you access to a wider optical zoom range and macro options that you won't find on lesser models. That main camera sensor is larger, meaning that the overall quality of photos from that lens are likely going to be a little bit nicer. And beyond that, in the software, the Pro models will give you the ability to shoot ProRAW images if you plan on editing them afterwards. If all of this doesn't make sense to you right now, or you're just snapping pictures of your kids or using this casually and you aren't into those finer details, a lesser model will be probably much more appropriate, I would say. The model down from this in this year's lineup is the iPhone 14, but with that said, there is one option that you won't see if you go to the Apple website or to the store, the iPhone 13 Pro. If you want a lot of the features that I just mentioned and you don't want to spend as much, the iPhone 13 Pro offers a similar 3-camera array with the ability to take macro and zoom telephoto shots. It has Apple ProRAW, and in general, I think it has a little bit more to offer in that sense than the regular iPhone 14. The catch there is you won't find this at Apple. You'll likely have to look at places like Best Buy, Amazon, or other third-party retailers for it, but chances are it will likely be on sale at a lot of those places because it is considered old stock. Sure, the iPhone 14 does still have a lot of that iPhone 13 Pro packed inside of it, but there's still quite a few things that you miss out on. You've got one less camera lens, the materials and construction are a bit nicer on the Pro with it being stainless steel where the regular is aluminum. You've got a ProMotion display in the Pro with better overall specs, a bit better battery life, and in general, I think it's just a nicer phone. You will, however, miss out on some things if you buy the 13 Pro over the regular 14 though, like the improved low light photo performance with something Apple calls Photonic Engine that's only available in the 14 series. There's no crash detection or satellite emergency SOS in the 13 Pro that is in the 14, and some smaller things won't be available like action mode on the 13 Pro, so if you do want some of those advanced features on your phone that just came out, you'll certainly want to stick with the models that were released this year. There's some other minor things like operating system support, which I don't think is something that you really have to look at that closely with Apple like you do with some other phone brands. The latest version of iOS is supported all the way back to the iPhone 8, so you're going to get about 5 to 6 years of updates with any model. And that really leads into the next thing that I want to discuss. If you just want a phone that works and you don't care about all the bells and whistles as much, and price is much more of a factor.
An incredible price.
There are a bunch of options there. Apple's de facto budget option that is the most current now, I would say, is the iPhone SE, which in all honesty, I probably wouldn't consider in most circumstances. While it is the cheapest option out there, starting at $429, I think the iPhone 12 or even the iPhone 11 are both better options. You can hunt around and find an iPhone 11 for around the same price as the SE. Again, you will have to look outside of the Apple Store for that model. You might be able to find one through the Apple Refurbished site, which, by the way, is a great place to shop for any Apple products, and one of the only places that I'd consider buying refurbished devices from. But an iPhone 11 has a much nicer display than the SE, it has another camera lens, and it's just generally a bit nicer phone in my opinion. Same goes for the iPhone 12. The nice thing there is you can still find this model new at the Apple Store for $599, so it is definitely a bit of a bump in cost, but again you get a much nicer display, a bit more robust camera system, better battery life, and you've got MagSafe available there, so another charging option, or you can look at the iPhone 13 for $699 that has some incremental upgrades over the 12 as well, so you do have some options. I'd say where it does make sense to get the SE is if you want a smaller phone. This is definitely the smallest out of the bunch at 4.7 inches, and it only weighs 144 grams, so it is quite small compared to everything else Apple currently offers. If you're more into the old school iPhones with a fingerprint reader that doesn't utilize Face ID for unlocking your device, you'll probably gravitate towards this. Just a note there as it relates to size, some people loved the iPhone 12 mini and the 13 mini, which are essentially the smaller version of the regular 12 and 13, all with the same specs, just with a 5.4 inch display instead of 6.1, and with not as great of battery life. If you've got your heart set on those models, you can still find those at third-party retailers, but they aren't offered by Apple. With any of the devices that I've mentioned, they've all got decent specs when it comes to everyday use. They all perform very well.
Powerful.
Unless you're gaming or doing something very specific that's going to put stress on your phone, you shouldn't have to be too worried about performance. I will just say that the difference between the A15 and A16 chipset that are in the last two generations of iPhones and the SE aren't a whole lot different, and even previous versions before that work really well. The most important thing is just to think about how you're using your phone and the things that you've had trouble with in the past and what your pain points or bottlenecks are. For instance, I didn't upgrade my iPhone last year. I've been using the base iPhone 12 for 2 years and it's been great for me. It still would likely be great for a while if my circumstances didn't change. Where I've put a lot more effort into this channel over the last year or so, and where my job has shifted into a much more creative role, I will likely count on a good camera system and using my phone a lot more in my work and it made sense for me to upgrade to the 14 Pro. Everyone is going to have their own preferences, so definitely think about what you like out of your phone. Are you turning the text size up a lot, running out of battery, or finding your phone too small? Maybe in those cases you need a bigger screen, or maybe you're coming from a larger device and you find it a bit too clunky or heavy and you're looking to go the other way. I'd love to see everyone find something that works for them, where they wash away some of those pain points. It's also totally fine if you just want the best phone out there and you just love technology.
Most advanced.
And hey, if you found something that works for you that solves a problem, or you have a specific issue that you'd like to address with your phone, drop a comment down below and let's see if we can help each other out there a bit. That's it for me today. As I said, I did purchase the 14 Pro, so I'll put out some videos on that particular phone after I go through the painstaking process of waiting for that to ship to my house. So keep your eyes peeled for that. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button if you want to see more tech-related content, or if you want to make plans with me to go on a weekend getaway, procrastinate, and then just end up going to Denny's on a Saturday morning and fall asleep on the couch afterwards and let the entire day get away from you. Please subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next upload.
Advanced, most advanced, most advanced, most advanced, most advanced, most advanced, most advanced, the most advanced iPhone we've ever created.